Good morning, students. I am Vjjay Gusain, Assistant Professor in the Department of Yoga Science, Shri Bahadur Shastri, National Sanskrit University. And topic of today is human consciousness and behavior, as well as human consciousness and mental processes. More specifically, I would like to say today we will discuss, is there a link between human consciousness and behavior? And secondly, is there a link between human consciousness and mental processes? Because why behavior and mental processes? Because modern psychology is the scientific study of human consciousness and behavior. So let us move forward. Before I start linking human consciousness with the behavior, I would like to remind you that human consciousness, what is human consciousness? And then I would like to tell you again what is behavior. So let us start and look at the screen. Human consciousness is more about the knowing, knowledge or cognition. It is the human consciousness is also source and mean of knowing or knowledge. In terms of physics and tantra, it is kind of a subtle form of energy as well as the source of energy. In terms of the level, there are three basic levels of human consciousness: conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and one more state level of consciousness is added by Jung, is collective consciousness. About the state of consciousness, there are basically four states of consciousness according to yoga literature, more specifically Mandukya Upanishad, that is wakeful, dream, dreamless sleep, and the meditation or absorbed meditation samadhi. Let me remind you, the consciousness is dynamic because it keeps going. It is the same consciousness that starts from morning till you sleep and till you take a birth, till you die. The consciousness remains throughout the life. And consciousness is, in this term, consciousness is dynamic, static. But how consciousness is dynamic? Because levels of consciousness keep changing throughout the day and throughout the lifespan. Now, what is behavior? In terms of modern psychology, behavior is any activity which can be measured, observed, and recorded. It means all the sensory activities like hearing, listening, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, all this is human behavior. And the human behavior is also about the motor activities like we using the hands, feet, eyes. Human behavior is also expressed through our communication, both the gestures, entire body postures, through the eye contact and through the voice. And human consciousness is the behavior is also the subtle form of behavior is also the biological activities like heart rate, pulse rate, breathing rate, etc., blood pressure. So now let us go further on to the human consciousness and behavior, how it is linked. So, human consciousness, I will try to take you toward the human consciousness in terms of energy or prana, as the quantum physics suggests. It means, what I want to say, that there cannot be any activities. You cannot move your hands, you cannot run, you cannot walk, you cannot eat food if there is no energy in the body. So basically what I want to say, if I see human consciousness in terms of energy as suggested by the physics and tantra, then human consciousness is the base or source of the activities, and observable, measurable and recordable activities is human behavior. Secondly, according to quantum physics, all creation at level of quantum field means the level of existence beyond the level of composition of atom, electron, proton, neutrons. So beyond that level, everything is made up of energy. Even I am made up of energy. This laptop, mobile is made up of energy. Only the energy types and their nature varies, and that leads to composition and activity, some kind of activity. So in terms of quantum physics as well as the tantra, the human consciousness as an energy leads to an activity means behavior. The tantra suggests that our body have a subtle energy. In tantra, for the energy there is a word called prana, and this prana energy is channelized by through nadis called energy channels, and that further there are 72,000 energy channels in the body, and this energy is carried out through our body through these 72,000 energy channels, but its upward and downward movement is directed by the 5 types of pranas: apana, vyana, samana, prana, udana, and 5 types of vayus, means Kurma, Dhananjay, Krikal, Nag and Devadatt. And at the end part, on a particular part of body, to say the head, to say just the upper chest or the lower chest, or to say the upper abdomen or lower abdomen, there are the 7 chakras. These chakra specialists work as the directors regulating body of the energy to a specific part of body. For example, the chakra at the throat, Vishuddhi chakra, directs the energy toward wind and food pipe, as well as toward larynx, pharynx, thyroid, parathyroid and adenoids. So here I try to tell you how human consciousness is linked with the behavior. So let us move forward. And again, I would like to remind you that human consciousness, and now in next few minutes we are going to understand how human consciousness is linked with the mental processes. In my previous just few minutes back, I told you what human consciousness means. So focus now on the right side box. What is mental processes? So mental processes means sensation, hearing, tasting, touching, the reach of the information from the environment to the brain, and perception means interpretation of that sensation. Cognition means the higher form of mental processes, which includes memory, thinking, motives, etc. And there are other mental processes more specifically called memory, thinking, problem solving, emotion, motivation, learning. So all these are mental processes, and now I will try to make you understand how human consciousness is linked with these mental processes, means sensation, how it is linked with the sensation, how it is linked with the perception, how it is linked with the cognition, memory, etc. So human consciousness in context of cognition is what? Cognition means awareness. It is called bodha in Hindi. It means knowing. As an affect, it means emotion, attitude, conscience and intuition. As an effect, Maharishi Vasisth said that 6 enemies like kama means lust, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, mada means pride with the carelessness, matsarya, jealousy. All these are 6 enemies which cause the initial sorrow or stress in the manomaya kosha, that is a mental level. And once out of these enemies there is a disturbance in manomaya kosha, means the mind, the senses, the ego is disturbed, then its output is also seen as a suffering or pleasure time to time. As an effect, Sigmund Freud says that human behavior is led by the instincts. Sigmund Freud more specifically told there are 2 instincts, that thanatos and eros. The thanatos is a kind of an instinct that make us aggressive and that encourage us to make some kind of a destruction, while the eros encourage us to some kind of a connection or love or affection. So these, as an effect, human consciousness is our mental processes depend on this instinct, which is more specifically found at the level of unconscious mind. Even the survival instinct like a food, thirst, passing of urine, we know when our bladder is full and we urinate. We get to know through the consciousness that now the food is required, now the body is required water, and then you take water. So what I want to say, a sense of knowing or sense of affection, the base of this is human consciousness. The human consciousness cannot be separated from the body and the mind. For example, a person under stress, Deepak Chopra says that for a person A, something can be stressful, a situation can be stressful, but for a person B, the same situation cannot be stressful. Why? Because the person's attitude or perception about that. So his perception is affected by some kind of the experiences in the consciousness or subconscious mind. So here I try to tell you about how consciousness is affected, how mental process is affected by the consciousness. I hope I was able to link the connection between human consciousness and behavior, as well as the human consciousness and mental processes. I thank you very much for watching this video. Namaste.